Hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Thursday football week 12 of the 2023 season. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached that special time of the football calendar year, Thanksgiving, a day to be thankful for the good things in life, and also a day to spend with family. I hope all of you had a good Thanksgiving. I know I did. And another good thing about Thanksgiving too, 3 football games here. Granted, a couple of them kind of, we'll just say that I got away from a couple teams, but with that, we'll go and get right into the action. Starting with the Green Bay Packers, and give credit to Jordan Love. He had a rough October, but he has been coming into his own in the month of November. The Packers are on a bit of a win streak, and Rashawn Gary is leading a fierce Packers pass rush that certainly got after Jared Goff in this game. But there is a question still to be asked about this Packers team, and that is, do they actually have a shot at making the playoffs? The Packers lost just one game in the month of November and are now within reaching distance of the playoff race at 5-6, and a short rest, short-handed road victory over a superior team. Jordan Love completed 22 of 32 passes for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns in a turnover-free performance. They've now gone 8 quarters without a turnover, and in Love's last 4 games he's completed 65% of his passes, throwing 8 touchdown strikes to 2 interceptions. If Love is truly finding a groove in the midst of his first NFL season as a starter, the Packers could make a playoff run after a rough October. The top 10 scoring defense has surrendered just 18.3 points per game since the start of October, so the ingredients are there. And most critically, the NFC wildcard pool is wide open. They're now just one game back of the Vikings for the final playoff spot in that conference, and Seattle will find itself just a game up on the Packers if it can't upset the 49ers this even. Spoiler alert, they didn't. The Packers will be well rested for a Week 13 home meeting with a more beatable than usual Chiefs team, and beyond that, the schedule does look soft, but I've never been a believer in easy games. In fact, the 6-5 Vikings look like the best team the Packers will play after Week 13, so it is absolutely within the realm of possibility the Packers do make the playoffs. Do I actually think they will? No. I don't think the Packers will make the playoffs. That was one of the reasons why I threw in the towel on that team. I don't remember what week it was, but yeah, I don't think they do it. But I think they can have a strong, I think they can close out the season strong, and know that they are settled at quarterback and coach. Detroit Lions. So struggles with turnovers continue, and that was a big reason why they got behind in this game. Jared Goff had like 3 fumbles, so Lions got behind in this game, tried to make a comeback, but ended up falling short. And there is a question to be asked of, with the amount of mistakes the Lions have been making recently, is it too many to contend? Even what they lost in a game they had no business losing, the Lions maintain a multi-game lead on the remainder of a flawed NFC North. Still, a team that looked like a potential Super Bowl contender for much of the first half of the season is showing cracks in the armor as they embark on the home stretch. At home against a limping and inferior opponent, the Lions committed 3 turnovers and took 7 penalties, one of which wiped out a touchdown. The Lions are 8-3, but they've now committed 7 turnovers in a 5-day span. They were fortunate to hang on at home against the Bears on Sunday, but weren't so lucky at the same site against Green Bay. What does that indicate they're in for when the schedule stiffens up? They still have to travel to New Orleans, Minnesota, and Dallas, and in Week 15 they host the surging Broncos. This team has progressed nicely throughout the Dan Campbell era, but recent miscues could indicate the Lions are still at least a year away from truly being a trustworthy Super Bowl contender. So it was not wrong to think that this Lions team could make a run to the Super Bowl with how well they've been playing, but recent mistakes have shown that they're not quite at that level just yet. They're a playoff contender, and that's a step in the right direction, but they gotta clean up those errors, because it's looking like the postseason is going to be a one and done sort of thing. Washington Commanders. So, simply put, coming out of this game, they are 4-8 because they're just that, a losing football team. And time is ticking away on the Ron Rivera era. Following an embarrassing Turkey Day loss, the Commanders are pretty much done at 4-8. I mean, I threw in a towel on them. I don't remember what week, but yeah, I've kind of known they've been done for a while, for a minute. Fans will surely begin to think about more than what will begin to think more about what this team wants to look like in 2024 and beyond. As expected, those questions will start with the head coach. It's entirely possible they move on from Ron Rivera soon, as the veteran head coach is one loss away from a fourth consecutive season without a winning record in Washington. Dating back to his days in Carolina, this was actually Marcus' sixth consecutive campaign as a head coach of a non-winning record. He hasn't won a playoff game since the Panthers went to the Super Bowl in 2015. Now, Rivera admittedly wasn't out the finest hand of the season, and that was exacerbated when the team traded both Chase Young and Montez Sweat. But quarterback Sam Howell flashed and has plenty of offensive support. 4 wins entering December, though, is disappointing no matter how you break it down. New Commanders owner Josh Harris may indeed want to wait out. He said he wanted to wait out the season before making a move, before making a move. But Rivera is a lame duck at best, holding a double-digit point home loss to a terrible Giants team before what happened in front of a national audience on Thursday, that being that loss to the Cowboys. So yeah, Josh Harris, the owner of the Commanders, said he was going to wait until after the season and then do an evaluation. That evaluation most likely resulting in Rivera's firing, but perhaps maybe this loss here, maybe that pushes him into reconsider his thinking. I mean, ultimately, I don't think it matters too much. The season's over for the Commanders, not making the postseason. They're just gonna have to push through towards the end. But why do you fire him now? Why do you fire him not? Who knows? But I think ultimately, if you fire him now and then promote Eric Bieniemy to interim head coach, it would give you a nice little preview as to what he could look like as a future head coach. Because with all the talk about Bieniemy being a head coach, it'd be beneficial for Sam Howell if you're going to stick with that guy as quarterback to keep his coordinator around. Dallas Cowboys. The aerial attack was cooking in this game, and this isn't just a one-game thing, though. It has been cooking for quite some time. And Duran plan, shout out to this guy, setting the NFL record for pick sixes in a season. And with Dak Prescott rolling, these Cowboys, they can win the Super Bowl. But this year is starting to feel different. After hammering the Commanders on Thursday, the Cowboys have now outscored their opponents 127-37 in their last 3 games. At home this season, they're now 5-0 with a scoring margin of 205-60. Sure, their opponents are Washington as well as the Giants, Panthers, and Patriots, but you can't control who you play. What you can control is how you play against those type of teams, and the Cowboys have proven to be on another level entirely. Remember, they nearly beat the Super Bowl favorite and reigning NFC champions, the Eagles, on the road earlier this month. The key, Dak Prescott playing the best football of his career. In his last 6 games, he's completed 70% of his passes and has thrown 18 touchdown passes to just 2 interceptions for a passer rating of 122.6. He's healthy, he's in his prime, the talent is there, and the support is there. Nothing's guaranteed with the 49ers and Eagles still standing in the way, but the Cowboys have it in them, and it wouldn't be surprising if they were able to beat Philadelphia in Week 14 and then go on to capture the top seed in the NFC. So, yeah, Cowboys on a roll, but again, 49ers and Eagles standing in the way. And speaking of the 49ers, they dominated this game early, and then weathered an attempted comeback in the second half. And give a shout out to give a shout out to the whole team, but the defense and special teams, especially early on, making some big plays. And this victory from the 49ers shows that the 3 best teams in the NFL come from the NFC. And those 3 teams are the Cowboys, 49ers, and Eagles. Those 3 juggernauts have emerged as the primary pace setters entering the home stretch. The San Francisco spoiled top-rated quarterback worked it all around to 0-4 of his elite weapons as the 49ers won by 13-plus points for the 7th time in just 11 games. With victories on Thanksgiving in the books, the 49ers and Cowboys have now outscored their opponents by 140 and 162 points, respectively. Only one other team, Baltimore, is above plus 104 in that metric. And that squad is a week removed from an upset loss to Cleveland as it reels from a cluster of pass catcher injuries. Meanwhile, following Detroit's slip-up Thursday, only one team in the league, Philadelphia, has fewer than 3 losses at this point. It'd be pretty hard for anyone to justify leaving the Eagles out of the top spot, period, let alone the top 3. The defending champion Chiefs are, of course, always in consideration, but they just lost to Philly at home, and something's been off all year for Patrick Mahomes and company. namely the passing game. Also with 3 losses are the Browns, Jaguars, and Dolphins. Cleveland will not have its franchise quarterback for the rest of the year. Jacksonville just isn't at that elite level, and were crushed by the Eagles earlier this month. And the Dolphins, well, when you put them up against contenders like Buffalo, Philadelphia, and Kansas City, they fall on their face. The AFC possessed most of the hype all offseason, but on Thursday it became clear that the Super Bowl was likely to go through one of the 3 super hot teams in the NFC. Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith, he looked rusty early, but credit to him, he went out there and he battled, but was unable to rally his team. And the Seahawks are playoff pretenders showing true colors at the worst time. And this team has some serious issues. And, it's never good when you get smashed by a 3-score margin at home by a division rival operating on short west. It's even worse when that represents a 3rd loss in 4 games, with the only victory coming by a field goal at home against a weak Washington team. That's the state of the Seahawks at the moment, who scored 1 total offensive touchdown in 3 November losses to the Ravens, Rams, and 49ers. It looks like the Seahawks simply aren't a good team. They're still in the hunt at 6-5, but narrowly defeating teams like Washington and Cleveland at home doesn't amount to much. And their only truly impressive win this season came back in Week 2 when they beat the Lions in overtime. Geno Smith's completion to sack ratio was merely 3-1 in another generally ineffective performance Thursday. He entered today ranked in the middle of the pack pretty much across the board in terms of rate-based stats, and he did nothing to improve that with 180 passing yards and an interception as the Seahawks were held to fewer than 70 points for the 3rd time this month. It is looking increasingly likely that Smith's standout 2022 season was an anomaly. Seattle could not sustain drives on offense, while a vulnerable and mediocre defense got gashed yet again. This team is going nowhere fast in its next 3 games, coming against Dallas, San Francisco, and Philadelphia. Good luck to you. And with that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.